Hey guys, it's Coach Jen from X10 Archery, and today we are talking about goal setting. So, the first question that you're probably asking is, why do we set goals? Well, goals are what keep us going. Goals are what keep us pushing forward. They're what wake us up at 7:30 on a Saturday morning to go out at Buffalo and shoot with the mosquitoes and the humidity. Um, our goals are what get us through thousand arrow weeks, and they help us push through our humps in our archery career. So I think that there are two different types of goals. The first kind of goal are your really big dream goals. They're the goals that you fantasize about, you know, like making the Olympic team or making the USAT team, maybe going to an international competition, um, winning the SIWAT all around. That's a pretty big goal too. They're the goals that you really, really want, but are going to take some work to get there, right? Then the next kind of goal are what I like to call your stepping stone goals. And that's exactly what they are. They're the steps on the path that you need to take to get to your big dream goals. And so when we're setting goals, we're going to look at our big dreams. We're going to say, okay, I want to shoot a 600 this year at USAT. So every USAT that I go to, I want to shoot 600 plus. And you're going to look at that goal and you're going to say, okay, how do I get there? So we have some systems that we use to set goals, to measure whether or not we've chosen a good goal. So the first one is called the SMART goal setting system. And with that system, SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So when you set a goal, you're going to look at that goal and you're going to test it against each of those pieces to determine whether or not that's a good goal. So you're going to look at it and you're going to say, is this goal a realistic goal? Is this a goal that I can reach? Or is this a goal that maybe I need to break down into a couple other steps before I'm ready for it? So the other type of goal setting system that I like to use is called the STAR goal setting system. And I borrowed this from figure skating. My daughter is an avid figure skater, and I was reading a book about mental management for figure skating, and I came across STAR goal setting. And I was like, whoa, we need to be doing this. So, how STAR goal setting works is you draw a star, and at each of the 5 points, you're going to set a goal. So you'll have 5 goals for each season. And I like to break them down into these categories. I like to have a process-oriented goal, a performance-oriented goal, an outcome-oriented goal, a mental management goal, and a conditioning goal. So you might be thinking, okay, the other ones make sense, but why conditioning? So archery is a very asymmetrical sport. And when one side of our body gets a lot stronger than the other side of our body, crazy things start to happen. It pulls your spine out of alignment. You can start having back and neck problems. You can start having shoulder problems. And so it's really important that we do training outside of shooting our bow to make sure that our body is equally strong on both sides. This is good not only for our health, but it's also good for our archery too, because having a good strong core is going to help you stand up in the wind in Arizona, because man, that wind is going to push you around if your core muscles aren't ready for it. Okay, so let's do an example goal. So several years ago, I made the world indoor team, and I desperately wanted to make the top 32 to make the elimination rounds. And let's put that goal up against our criteria. So another criteria that I forgot to mention that I have for goals is that a goal should be 100% under your control. Because you can't control other people. We can only control ourselves, right? So, making the top 32 at World Indoor already fails the test for being a good goal. Because I can't control how other people shoot. I can't control whether, Lisa Unruh is going to shoot a world record. I can't control whether my equipment is going to show up intact when I get to Ankara. There's a whole lot of stuff that's out of my control with that goal. But I can turn this into a goal that fits all of the criteria. So I did some research because I'm a huge nerd. And I went back and I looked at the previous World Indoor scores and determined that I needed to shoot around 560 to make the top 32. Okay, so I set my goal for 565 because I wanted to give myself a cushion just in case I was a little bit nervous about my first really big international competition. So let's put this goal up against our criteria. Was it specific? Yes. You can't get more specific than a number, right? Was it measurable? Absolutely. I can measure my progress based on my practice scoring. Was it achievable? Yes, because at that time, I was a 280 plus shooter pretty much all season. And so that also made it a realistic goal because I had been seeing those numbers during the season. I was always scoring around, somewhere between 278 and 284. Like I was always in that range. Was it timely? Absolutely. Because there was a day that I was going to get on a plane and go to Ankara. So I had to achieve that goal. I had to get to be a 560 shooter before I got on that plane to Ankara. And so all of my training leading up to the day before I left was centered around seeing myself and being at that skill level, being trained up to shoot 565 at World Indoor. So I got to Ankara and we got to qualification day and I shot a 553. So that was just enough to make the 32nd spot and to shoot against the number 1 seed, Lisa Unruh, who is fantastic and actually went on to win the whole thing that year. So I didn't quite make my goal of 565, but I did make the top 32. And so I considered that goal achieved. And because I was able to use our SMART goal setting system to test whether or not this was a good goal, it made it easier for me to set myself up for success. Okay, so we've talked about how to set goals. We've talked about realistic goals. And now it's time for homework. I want you guys to go and set your big dream goals, okay? And then I want you to draw your star and put some goals at each of the points. Because in our next video, we're going to work together to break down one of those goals into the little tiny pieces that go into it to help you be successful with your season this year. So, do your homework, and I will see you next time.